Yes, Hitchcock 45 here, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful hills of Tennessee, Green Hills, yes, home of Dolly Parton, Ken Berry, Dr. Ken Berry, all kinds of cool, extra cool people. And you, glad you're here too, because even if you're in, I don't know, the cold north, the North Pole, or you're in Jamaica, it doesn't matter. If you're on your computer or your phone or your TV right now watching, then you're here too. Yeah, just minus the ticks, right? So glad you came along for the ride this Sunday, and appreciate you coming along for the ride every Sunday, Tuesday, and Friday. Yeah. All right. And yes, we're still doing videos. It's so funny, I don't know, the algorithms, and then of course everything is off on YouTube for gun videos. I still run into people that, you still doing videos? Yeah, they're not hadn't had one suggested for forever, but we do them every week, 3 or 4 a week. And not counting the Clips channel, Talks channel, but lots of, I enjoy watching the Clips channel, I have to say. It brings back videos, John brings back videos that, gosh, they might not be all that old. They might just be a couple of years old, or a year old, 6 months, or 15 years old. And it's just things I've kind of forgotten about, and kind of gives them new life, clips from those videos. And I know it confuses people who are not regular watchers or don't even know what it is they're seeing, or whatever, where there's not an introduction maybe to the video or anything like that. But you always have that. You can't reach everybody. We did an introductory video for that channel, which is on that channel, and what it is, what it's about. You just can't reach everybody. I was explaining that to somebody recently, how from the very beginning it was a little, not frustrating, but just realize it's just different. You can't communicate with everybody. It's just that weird old thing. It's just like email gives you this, for example, gives you this ability to communicate so simply and easily with everybody within your company, your friends, or school, or whatever it is. But because everybody can communicate so easily, it makes it almost worse, because everybody's flooded and inundated with messages, and you don't see it all maybe, and all that kind of thing. It's a little bit like that, where it's not a weekly thing. Though the Sunday shooting videos help a lot, I think, because if nothing else, they give me an out. Like if people don't know something obvious, or something that's obvious to regular watchers or Sunday watchers. Again, you don't have to watch on Sunday, but Sunday shoot around, then you know what's going on for sure, because I talk more in them about random things and things going on, and they're timely. They're every Sunday, and so they're timely. Whereas another video we might have done 2 months ago or something, when the weather was nice. So for someone to want to know if we're still doing videos or not, know that we're still doing all that kind of thing, they're not regular viewers, of course, or that, I don't know, doesn't matter what it could be. Maybe that I broke my arm, or whatever that might be. I know, when John pulled out a clip from a video where I had a broken wrist or broken arm from years back, I saw so many people think, wow, man, I'm sorry, bro, thinking that was new. I'd just broken it that week or something. In fact, I think somebody on the next posting or Sunday video or somewhere says, your arm's not broken now. No. That was years ago. Yeah. So anyway, but you cannot just do a blanket comment, email, or anything and get to everybody. On YouTube, just the randomness of it, and that has even gotten worse because of the algorithm, the way they just select things and suggest things that are really clickbaity or have hot topics and all that kind of thing. And so you're just sort of throwing things out there into the mix, but we do have a regular schedule. So anyway, for whatever that's worth, again, don't forget the meet and greet at Mammoth Outdoors in Bowling Green. And that is coming right up next Saturday, because we're on the 31st, right? Or the 30th, what is the date? I can't even read it. Yeah, 31st. So That's next Saturday. So this is my last chance on a Sunday to remind you to get it in gear and come out on Saturday at Mammoth Outdoors in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and that's from 11 to 12:30 at least, from 11 to 12:30. Davidson's will be there, I'll be there, and other fine folks, and a lot of firearms and ammo and that kind of stuff. It's right across from Culver's, right there. You get off exit 22 in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Yeah. So see you there. Oh man. And don't forget, well, the people that help us, I was going to mention about Silencer Central and those wonderful Banish suppressors. They, again, are paying the $200 stamp on almost all of them, most of them, up until the end of the year, so don't forget that. Well, anyway, and then, of course, Davidson, speaking of them, they'll be there Saturday. The wonderful lifetime guarantee for firearms you purchase from them. So they've got so many firearms, really quality outfit. Please support the Sonoran Desert Institute, sdi.edu, do some distance learning and drone technology, firearms technology, get on the road to becoming a gunsmith. Yeah. So, and then everybody else, Ballistol, Talon grips, Alabama holster. I've got 2 of them on me right now. Wouldn't leave home without them. Great little Kydex concealment holsters. And they do conceal well. What do I have? Well, you all know, where it's kind of just a plain Jane looking 1911 in the dark. It is, though, a Nighthawk Custom. It's my Nighthawk Custom. Most of you are familiar with it if you've been around long. Sweet, sweet pistol. Been shooting it this week, messing around, some videos and things, and I intentionally did not clean it because I wanted to use it or shoot it some more and on Sunday. So there you go. And I am glad I did not clean it. I've got another revolver out here, another gun. I'll shoot it some. And let's just plug something else with this thing. You want to? Boy, it's kind of nice out. It's warm, but as I talked about maybe last week or before, as we move on into the fall, even when it's warm, if it's a little less humid, because we have a lot of humidity in Tennessee, if it becomes less humid, that just helps so much. It just feels better. Like even today, even though it's a little bit hot, a little sweaty. I don't have my sweat rag, but it's warmish. But it's just better. Just a little drier makes a big difference. We try to do videos in the fall. One reason in the winter you'll see a video pop up on this gun or whatever, and it will, all the leaves are off. It's January, and in the video it looks like this. That's because we try to work hard, just like the squirrels, squirreling away nuts for the winter. We enjoy doing videos in the fall, and we do more in the fall probably than any time, summer and fall. So, because I do this for fun and enjoy it, and I don't enjoy it if it's 30 degrees, 25 degrees, snowy and rainy and wet like it is in the winter in Tennessee. So I'm not out here much doing regular videos in old January and February especially, and except for the Sunday videos. Yeah, I'm still trying to stick to that. Come out and suffer through the weather, pick out the best day of the week, just like I do even in the summer weather-wise, and I'm early this week for that reason, but and others, but other reasons. But I like to pick out the best day or a good day, and but in the wintertime I'm out here for the Sunday videos. You know that, don't you? You see me out here freezing or whatever's going on. So let's shoot this thing. Quit yakking. Well, no, I'm not going to quit yakking. It's a Sunday video. Let's see if I can pop Clyde. I'm not sure I hit him before. And my ear's in too tight. There we go. That's what I wanted to hear. What about the gong? Yeah, everybody's awake now. Boy, that thing is a shooter. It really is. I think Nighthawk Custom has a future. They make nice guns. Yep, 1911. I'm part of the cult. We did a video on that 1911 cult. I hear so many people, or not so many, but occasionally that people claim you're a part of the 1911 cult, C-U-L-T, and I'm a little bit of a member. But we try to, we use terms like that, or we try to pigeonhole people and stereotype people, don't we, in general, gun owners or whatever, specific firearms that some people are fans of, and a lot of that's because you run into people like the Glock fanboy. You run into people who, what causes a lot of that, I think, are the people who are a little bit obnoxious about their, whatever it is, their chosen religion, gun religion, their chosen, whatever it is they love so much. There are some people, and it's very, very few usually, right? In the great scheme of things, very small percentage. But, as with anything, they're the loudest. And they're the ones that get the word out there, and everybody sees screaming and being obnoxious, whether it's online or offline, in the gun shop, in the gun store, or in the gun show, or wherever it might be, perhaps shooting range. And so if you're not a particularly strong fan of the 1911, or you're just totally neutral, and you run into a couple of people who are just obnoxious about them, or Glocks, or Chevy trucks, or whatever the heck it might be, it kind of turns you off of it, doesn't it? And it's kind of human nature, I guess. We tend to think, wow, man, there's people that like that, Ford trucks or whatever it is, or 1911s are just sick, they're just obnoxious. And it's just because you've met a couple who were obnoxious, right? Most people are not that way. Most gun owners, firearms collectors, shooting enthusiasts. I searched for a term for that, but I'll say something like a true shooting enthusiast, or like myself. Was what I'm talking about. Someone who's like I am, that likes a lot of different firearms, bit of a gun nut, shoots a lot, has a variety of guns, enjoys them all. That's who I mean. I really am. I'm saying people like myself, not that I'm the best, but that are into guns and really appreciate them, the history of them, the mechanics, all that kind of thing. It's usually not like that about any particular gun. You might think they have too many 1911s or Glocks or M1 Garads or whatever it might be, that they have an obsession with some particular firearm. But most true shooters, sensible shooters are really not like that. They may have a bunch of these 1911s, but you don't ever get the impression they're a member of a cult, right? Well, they might be. Might be a member of the People's Temple, or who were those folks that were waiting on the Hale-Bopp comet? Yeah, I mean, there are cults out there, right? But they're not necessarily in one of them just because they like the 1911. Now, they might be because they like Rugers. I've known some Ruger cultists like that. This is the Police Service 6 I brung out today, and it's a 357, as most of you know. Let's load some bullets in it. You want to? Shoot some of my hand loads. I had a few hand loads left over. Been doing a lot of shooting this week and having a good old time doing it. Because the weather, for the most part, it's been hot, but it's been pretty good. Yep. Okay, while the sun shines, like I was saying, if I'm kind of free and I can shoot, and John or Jesse's in town, can film, and I'm ready to do some videos. We got a couple of new guns in, or got lots of guns we haven't done videos with, or whatever. Let's go do some videos, have some fun, and we did that this week. Really did. Got a lot of guns dirty, cleaned a lot of guns, left some dirty well, I didn't shoot this one this week, actually. I was just in the mood to fire it. I remember seeing it in a recent video that I guess I made. 90th anniversary of the 357 Magnum. I guess that was me, right? I saw that video this big dummy made, and I saw this gun on the table, and it occurred to me that he hadn't shot that for a while. He needs to shoot it. Yeah. Right, cowboy? Right, Clyde? Right, Gong? Uh-oh, I might be stretching it here. Hit it. Let's hold up a little. Having trouble hearing with my ears in this tight, but yeah, that thing is pretty nice. I don't give it enough love and fondling. Many of you just love these things. They're really nice. The Police Service 6, the Speed 6. Extremely popular. I've confessed in the videos on this that I kind of missed the boat on these back when they were popular. I was too much of a Smith & Wesson snob. I shouldn't have been, because boy, these things, you know, Ruger revolvers used to be considered like, okay, the bargain guns. You know, if you can't afford a Smith, this is right, I'm not just being a snob. In the 70s, 80s, I don't know when it changed, but you know, Rugers were fine. Everybody knew they're fine, they're strong. But they were sort of the gun for a lot of people, not everybody, but they were kind of the gun. If you couldn't afford a Smith & Wesson or a Colt, yeah, there's always Ruger, and they'd get the job done, real practical, and just fine. But they were different. They were, you know, the different. You know, it doesn't look like a Smith & Wesson, you know, or a Colt. A little different in operation, springs, just everything, and not the traditional look of a Colt or Smith & Wesson. But man, that has changed, and they've always been quality, but this price-wise, that's what I'm getting at. In recent years, like 20, 25 years, there's really not much difference in price between a Smith & Wesson, a New Smith or Colt, and a Ruger, a lot of ways, right? So you just have to like a Ruger, want a Ruger, because you're going to pay almost the same money as you would for a Smith or a Colt. But back in the day, it wasn't quite that way. So I could have bought a bunch of these things, you know, more easily than a Smith & Wesson or anything. And, I don't know, maybe price created an impression, you know, or yeah, that's the old thing there. People talk about it. If you want to give away something, get rid of it. It's easier to get rid of it if you put a price on it rather than just give it away. Like you have cats you want to sell or give away. Maybe nobody will take your cats if you're trying to give them away, but if you say $10, you know, maybe, oh, hey, a bargain on that cat. So maybe it's that psychology. They're a different the other point I was going to make, one reason I was a snob, because I'm a bit of a history snob, you know, I enjoy the history of firearms a whole lot. And with Ruger, you know, I'm talking and demonstrating in videos quite often of you know, the early Smith & Wessons or Colt revolvers back in the 50s and 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, you know, and talking about where this cartridge or this revolver started and all that, and the chain rings, and with handguns, usually Colt, Smith & Wesson. Ruger, I can't go back to 1850 or 1860 or 1870 or 1880. I can only go back to about 1950, about 100 years or more later, when Ruger came along, okay? And in a different look, yeah, different construction, different system. So that's part of the reason, okay? Not to degrade them. They're great guns. In many ways, they're stronger than a Smith or a Colt. And reliable. You just don't hear many of them breaking, blowing up, or anything. And I like this. I just didn't have one of these, but I like this because it's melted. You know, there's no sight, nothing to hang on my hands on, and it's not too large, and it's 357 Magnum. I guess it's kind of a counterpart to a Smith & Wesson model, like a 65 or a model 13 or something. Yeah. So let's shoot again. Can I do that? Yeah, let's shoot some Magnum. These are some Underwood Magnums. All right. It's not a very heavy gun. I don't enjoy shooting a lot of really hot Magnums in it. If I'm going to do that, I can get out a model 27 or something like that. Model 28 Smith, a little heavier built. All right, 357 Magnum. Let's hit a hog and a cowboy. Double action, yeah, and a bowling pin right here. Yeah, double action works pretty well. I have one more bullet for you. It's amazing how 357 Magnum goes right through the paper. Right through the paper. Yep, revolvers, if I haven't told you more than 1,000 times, are fun. They are fun. Fun to shoot. Double action, single action, just whatever. It's really, really tough to beat. Anything else you want to know about? Gosh, I should be yakking more probably. What about all this Cracker Barrel stuff? Isn't that funny? One thought I had on that, and I hate to say it, I think most of the world is treating that as it's just a shame, and it's the wokesters or woke CEOs and changing things without thinking about it or getting input from enough of their customers and all that sort of thing. And that may be exactly what all of it is. I don't know. There's another, I know they've been struggling for number of years, because I was going to buy, I don't buy many individual stocks, just, a couple, Tesla, Berkshire Hathaway or something. I just don't do much of the individual. But I've eaten at Cracker Barrel a lot and stopped there and everything. It's such a kind of an everyday, you drive by one, all kind of thing. And so I investigated a little bit, I don't know, 10 years ago, whenever, and I was going, it'd be fun to have a little, or have some apple, can't talk today, sorry. I didn't sleep well, I've been up since 2 o'clock, 2 a.m., but I can't blame it on that. It's mostly my brain, can't get it in gear sometimes. But, so I was going to just have some apple stock, why not? Or not apple, see there I go again, Cracker Barrel stock. But I investigated it and I didn't realize that it had been on, and then the issues, with the chain and this kind of thing. I wasn't devastated or anything. It was just, I don't fool with individual stocks much, so I'm not going to be looking at something that's slowly dying or just on the wrong curve, and I've been watching and observing. COVID, I think, gave a really big hit, and I noticed around that time you couldn't get an omelet. You can't get an omelet. And that's my two criticisms are, and my wife and I both, for many, many years, it's amazing how they're known for breakfast, but you order some eggs, scrambled over medium, whatever. Sometimes they'll come out cold, kind of cold. They're not really warm, and they don't make omelets. You're known for your breakfast as much as anything, more than anything, and you don't offer an omelet of any kind? Like, what's wrong with this picture? So that's when I really knew things were going downhill. And I used to early on, this is years ago, 15 years ago, I guess, I started having an issue. I'd order eggs and toast, and I cook my own breakfast every morning, basically. rarely even go out. So now that the neat little diners have closed around me, there was a neat one I used to eat at, Cody's Diner, and different places occasionally, but now there's just nothing close. And and I cook my breakfast every morning most of the time anyway, so now I do virtually every morning. I fry eggs and bacon every morning. So I know how to fry an egg. Been doing that since I was probably about 20, 25, frying eggs over medium. I like them over medium, and I can do it. I am a pro. And an iron skillet all those years too. Well, maybe with a short interim using some T-foul non-stick stuff, but not for long. Back to the cast iron. I use my mom's skillet that she got when she was young, I think from her dad. So I don't know how old that thing is, an old Wagner skillet. And I'm still using it. She fried chicken in everything, my entire growing up, my whole life. And then she gave that to me when she got older, wasn't really cooking much, and I've used it ever since. More information than you wanted, right? So I know how to fry an egg, and I know there's a bit of an art to it in a way. You've told your mouth right, and if you eat toast, I don't eat toast with it anymore, but when I did, oh man, you got that toast, that butter, that bread ready to go into the toaster, and when you crack the eggs, when you get to a point where those eggs are maybe almost done, there's a point where, and I kind of forget exactly where I would do it now, but so that the toast is ready and buttered, when the eggs are right out of the skillet, and you got your bacon already done, and it's hot, and you're ready to sit down and cut it up and eat, and the toast is hot and right out of the toaster and all that. And so I'm not interested at that point. I wasn't interested in my eggs unless the toast was right there and it was ready and it was warm and all that. And if you mess up, you put it back in the toaster, which my wife always hated, but I do it anyway, and warm it back up. And because I want my toast, I'm not going to eat a bite of egg without my toast, at least in the old days. Now I don't need it, I want it. But, well, Cracker Barrel, they'd come out, the server would come out with your eggs. Here you go, and your bacon or sausage or whatever, and here you go, sir, your toast will be along soon. And I would just push the plate, okay, and like, well, I don't need this if you don't have my toast with it, and it might be 2 or 3 minutes, your eggs meanwhile get cold. So they, for a place that specializes in breakfast, it is kind of odd on that end. But anyway, the point I was going to make, let me shoot before I make that point. I do have a point to make about Cracker Barrel, and I think it's a really brilliant point. It's one I've not heard anybody talk about yet. So you can just sit on the edge of your seat. Well, no, let's shoot this some more. Got a mag load. Good old Nighthawk. Beautiful gun, beautiful gun. All right. While you anxiously await my Cracker Barrel philosophy here. All right. Yeah, man, maybe I am a part of the 1911 cult. Now, what I was going to say about Cracker Barrel and that deal, there comes a time, it could be, I mean, people act like if you're a Cracker Barrel fan, and I am I like Cracker Barrel, where you just think they're messing it up. Don't mess it up, it's fine, leave it like it is and everything. You're messing with our culture or whatever. But I know a lot of restaurants, or I don't know which ones, I think Red Lobster, and there are other restaurants that have been around since the 70s, let's say, or before, that are kind of struggling with their clientele. The millennials and younger, they are not necessarily eating there. They eat differently, or that's where Grandpa eats. That's where the old people eat. And who wants to go to Red Lobster? I want to go to that cool seafood restaurant on the corner to get sushi or whatever. Okay, if I want some good seafood, I'm not going to Red Lobster. You know, it's like, you know, yeah, to them that's like an insult almost, probably. So some of them. So restaurants have been around. You know, Shoney's here in the South is basically dying, almost dead. The big boy restaurants, you know, kind of an interim between fast food and a regular restaurant. Kind of the same thing, maybe menu problems and all that. And it's maybe a little bit of a simplistic way to look at it, to think, well, just change your menu a little bit. You're not trying anything new, or you know, you could experiment with your menu. You'll be fine. You know, all these places. You know, it's a food business. Just as long as you're making the right food, you're good. But I don't know. I think there's something a little larger at play with that sometimes. I know, like I said, Red Lobster's messy, and I kind of like Red Lobster. They got a couple of things I like, and I hate to see them so empty a lot of times, and closing stores and things. And I know a few months back there was news about them getting a new CEO, I think, and trying to do some things and get them back on track. But there might just come a time with any restaurant chain or any business, but any restaurant chain, where the demographics have changed enough, even kind of slowly, but they've changed enough to where even if you improve the menu and still have great service, you are just not going to be where you were 20 years ago or 10 years ago. You know, there's just, the societal change is too big to combat. You know, Hooters is going through it. They're talking about changing, of course. There just may not be as large a target audience out there for Cracker Barrel, you know, or Red Lobster, or name, Applebee, whatever restaurant it might be that's not doing great. Perhaps, I don't know who that would be. I just threw out Applebee's. They may be doing better than anybody. But, you know what I'm saying? There may not be as many people interested in the population potential target for all that fried food is smaller, perhaps. And then the people who, again, are millennials, younger, that's where Grandpa eats, Mom, Dad ate. I don't want to eat there. There may just be a giant block of people, population, that is really not even a potential customer hardly, you know. And you may just need to face the fact that, say, Cracker Barrel has, I don't know how many stores do they have, 1,000? Say they do, I don't know what they have. There may just be a market. You may be doing just fine what you're doing. It's just there's not as big a market for it. Maybe 500 stores is the market, or 300 or something. It's not that you're dying necessarily. You're doing everything wrong all of a sudden. It could just be that, yeah, there's just not as much market for what you're doing. And you can change logos. You can fret over it and change menus and change decorations on the walls, you know, 40 times, and it just may be dipping water out of the Titanic with a bucket. You know, it's just not. Well, the Titanic is too strong, because that's my point. That maybe you're not dying. It's just there's not that many. Okay, and that's hard to recognize. And how do you handle that? Because once you start closing stores, it's like you are dying. It's like your Sears or Kmart or the stores that, you know, have died as they started closing and eventually went away pretty much. Think about it. What if I had an idea for a restaurant chain, and it was kind of like, well, say Cracker Barrel didn't exist or whatever, and it's something like that. It was cool. And I started up, and I had a restaurant here in Nashville doing really well. I expanded, and man, it's going well. I'm just getting filthy rich because I've got 300 stores. They're all going strong around the South or wherever. Going strong. My stores, man, I just great. I have nothing to complain about, really. It's just wonderful with my 300 restaurants. Well, that'd be great. You would just be so impressed. I am a restaurateur. I'm a tycoon. I am someone you would envy. I have 300 restaurants, right? Employing lots of people. People would know my restaurants. Everybody almost would know about my restaurants. There's 300 of those suckers out there. Well, but if Cracker Barrel has to, so again, assuming they have 1,000 restaurants, I don't know, maybe too many, but if they do, and they have to crank down to 300 or 400 because there's just not the demand for 1,000 of them. Well, we look at that totally differently, don't they? And then maybe they get down to 300 and they're doing just fine. But we look at, yeah, poor old Cracker Barrel, they just died. Yeah, too bad. I don't know what all their problems were. And again, maybe it's just the demographics and there is a market for 300 of them or a smaller number, whatever that would be. So it's just kind of how you look at it, whether some business like that is on the way up, and leveling out and doing great, or it's been way up here and now it's cranking down, and just totally different impression of it, don't we? But anyway, that's my point, that maybe a logo isn't going to save it, nothing's going to save it, and messing with it's the wrong thing to do. Keep it exactly like it is, because you do have a very loyal customer base, for what you have to offer. And you might really be screwing it up to where you do destroy it. And even that market for the 300 stores, that hypothetical situation I was describing, you even lost that. Does that make any sense? Should. You know why? Because it's me talking. I always make sense. Let's shoot this 357 again, okay? Getting a little yakky today, I'm sorry. This, had a lot of driving and not much sleeping. Oh, by the way, last week I went to weekend. I saw a bunch of you down there. I always, I go to craft fairs with my wife. I rarely go by myself, but I don't mind them. There's usually some interesting stuff being made by people. And went to Beersheba Springs in Tennessee, down around the mountains. McMinnville, south of McMinnville, I guess, and a pretty good hike from here. And that was kind of neat. Went down there a year or two ago with my wife. Normally she'll just drive down on her own, but I was in the mood to go. Nice day, and I can't believe how many of you all I ran into down there. I don't know if all of you watch the Sunday videos. You should, but I mean. And I have run into, viewers down there at that thing, at craft fair up on the mountain. But it had to be 10 to 12, 15 of you. What were you doing at the craft fair? I mean, I thought I was pretty lame, driving all the way to Beersheba Springs, for 2.5 hours to a craft fair. And I talked to a lot of you. Like I told you, my wife told me it was a gun show, and I got fooled. I didn't want to admit that I actually knew I was going to a craft fair. So I just made up some story about how I thought it was a gun show and got there and was surprised. But anyway, yep, Beersheba Springs, if you ever heard of it, it's a nice place up here on the mountain. All right, 357 to Magnum, and I think I put specials in, didn't I? Yeah, I can tell. Oh, nice. What about you, cowboy? You like special ammo. You like it better if I hit you. Let's shoot the Alabama holster. I missed it. Oh yeah, pretty nice. Better shoot a couple of Magnum jacketed rounds if I have them here. Yeah, get it nice and clean before I put the bow saw on it, or get the lead out of it, most of the lead. So I'll let y'all go. Oh, I didn't give you advice. All this yakking and no advice for young people. Gosh, I don't know. Maybe that's just my advice. Be careful about screwing something up that doesn't need to be screwed up. Changing something that maybe doesn't need to be changed, because you end up, if you're not careful, letting the tail wag the dog. Like Cracker Barrel, for example, they might have heard from quite a few customers whatever quite a few means, maybe the loudest customers, that they needed to change things, revamp things here. Get with the times, you know. But maybe that's just a handful percentage of their customers, and we do have the tail wagging the dog with Cracker Barrel. Who knows what will become of that? It'd be like me reading comments and, oh man, maybe 3-4 people really mad at me for doing something in videos, whatever it might be, so I quit doing it, you know, or they want me to do more of something, so I do more of it, or, you know, whatever it is. You gotta be careful about that, because there's always going to be a slice of your customers, your the viewers, whatever it is, that people that know about you or take in your product, whatever that might be. There's going to be a slice of people that are very adamant about this, very adamant about that, or fervent about some issue, and you can really be whipped around and again have the tail wagging the dog and get away from what you do, right? So anyway, that's my advice. Stick with what you think is best. Think about it, be smart about it, be deliberate, evaluate it, and study it, research it as best you can, but don't just willy-nilly change your program, you know, unless it needs to be changed. All right, I got 6 more rounds and I'll probably kick you all out of here. All right. Well, I did not count my rounds, but that just felt like about 6. Yep, that was. Okay. So good old police service 6. Yep. Quite often, most often, police service revolvers were with fixed sights. You know, and that's just part of it. Even the FBI, you know, carrying that Model 13 Smith & Wesson. The DEA and FBI carrying the Model 65, just like this, fixed sights and a Smith, and, you know, just a good old duty, practical firearm. So, and then of course the police service, gun companies, we've talked about that, right? They're famous for naming their firearms in order to help market them. Call them the Chief's Special, the M&P, military and police, you know, the police service, all that kind of thing. And, because you know, back in the day that was their primary market anyway, and so for handguns, you know, and so, you know, they would just name them that. So doesn't mean you've got to be a policeman to own this thing or you're in trouble, right? So I'm glad you came out today. I really am, especially since I'm out here. It'd be pretty lame if you didn't show up, right? You don't have to show up on Sunday morning. You know, it's okay to be late Sunday night, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, but just make sure you show up, because I'm here. I expect you to show up sooner or later. Does that seem reasonable? Well, I think it is, and I'm glad you witnessed a couple of fine firearms being exercised. Nighthawk 45 ACP and my Service 6 Ruger in 357 Magnum. Yeah, y'all come back out, and next week I might be here again. Life is good.